Oh boy, welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. And thanks to you, we're getting there. Yesterday, phenomenal day. Let's do it again. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share because the stupidity, the insanity, the grift, it's never been seen like this before. You see, Reuters, they just dropped a bombshell. Here we go. Trump Organization and affiliated ventures, they raked in over $800 million in the last 6 months of 2025, thanks to crypto sales literally tied to ventures like World Liberty Financial. I mean, if that isn't enough of an income, Trump is also suing our own DOJ for an additional $230 million. Now, look, I've told you that I think his filings actually have merit. I really do. But maybe this just might not really be the time to be earning even more money as the government's on a shutdown and people don't have money for drugs, for their medication. They don't have money for their food. On Mea Culpa, Joe Walsh and I, we dig into this wild mashup of power, money, and self-investigation. Play the clip. Trump is suing these aren't my words, by the way. These are his words. That it's sort of odd because he is suing his own Justice Department for almost $250 million. And what's the basis? Investigating him.
Yeah.
Anything like this ever happened in American history?
No, and by the way, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, the two investigations that he's claiming he's owed damages for were the original Russia investigation and then Jack Smith's prosecution of him. Now, those are the two investigations he's referring to. Excuse me, Trump tried to overthrow an American election. I'm damn glad he was investigated and indicted. So think about it like that, Michael. Trump does bad things. Trump commits a crime. He gets pissed off. He gets reelected. Then they drop the investigation. Then he hires cronies to go after the people who investigated him when he committed the crime. And now he wants his cronies to pay him the money.
So, I was on CNN the other night. I was talking to Laura Coates because I have a little bit of a different opinion than most people on this. Yeah. So as I said to her, there's really two aspects here that need to be considered. First is legally, does Trump have a claim here against the Justice Department? Is it or is it not without merit? And the answer is it is with merit. Why? Well, simply because he filed these notices of claims when he was a private citizen. That's how you do it. He's 4 notices of claims went in seeking damages for the federal agencies that he alleges acted improperly or caused him measurable harm. That all falls under the Federal Tort Claims Act. Something
when he wasn't president. When he
was not president. Yeah. And I know a lot about this simply because I too filed an FTCA claim. My case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court refused to hear it. The difference, though, is that I'm not the one who said that my constitutional rights were violated.
Yeah.
That was said by a federal court judge, Alvin K. Hellerstein. In this case, Trump, of course, is saying it, and that's something that he and his lawyers would have to prove. But again, the second part that needs to be considered is what makes this moment extraordinary. And this is what I ask you, that Trump now leads the very department that's reviewing his case. This is to be looked at by one of two people that he actually put into office, Todd Blanche, and then the other guy who I always forget his name. But I posted something that I think is going to shock you a little bit on my social media platforms. And I wrote, and you can see it on my X, on my Twitter, on my Substack, and all that crap. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Trump's notice of claim over the so-called Russia hoax, because there's two parts to his notice of claim. One, the Russia hoax. The second is the Mar-a-Lago raid. I don't think the Mar-a-Lago raid has any leg to stand on, but the Russia hoax, I do. So I said again, I'm going to start again. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Trump's notice of claim over the so-called Russia hoax has at least one leg to stand on. The leaks, the planted stories, the whisper campaigns, they were all designed to wound him. I Michael Cohen, was hit with 11 separate false allegations myself. Each one of them funneled through the same hands, Comey, Brennan, and the crew of self-anointed patriots who thought that they could outmaneuver democracy by weaponizing intelligence. Now, I want to be clear about something to all of my Mea Culpa supporters, to all of my supporters on X and Threads and Substack and whatever. I don't want them to get me wrong. I disagree with much of what he's doing. All right. I completely disagree with it. But that first chapter, the Russia narrative that consumed this country every day for months upon months upon months, my life turned upside down. So were his. And it wasn't all smoke. Some of it was engineered fire. And I too became collateral damage. So believe me or don't believe me, but I lived it. And I'm telling you, he actually has a legitimate claim. Now, I don't want to start getting into $230 million, the amount. Where he came up with that number, I happen to know. I read the full 15-page notice of claim. The claim is that $130 million were legal fees expended as a result of the Steele dossier, that bullshit document, etc. The other 100 is punitive damages. I don't think you see anything close to $230 million. But here's the question for you. Even if this matter goes away for $1, it rewrites a massive narrative that this country has become accustomed to.
Which narrative, Michael?
The narrative that Trump colluded with Russia, it vindicates and it actually strengthens his case both against Comey and one that may ultimately come out against John Brennan.
Well, you and I disagree on this. I don't believe there was a Russian hoax. I think the whole thing was real.
There was no Russia hoax.
Well, here's what I believe. Russia fucked with the 2016 election to help get Trump elected. That's obvious.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Sure.
Our government investigated that. Makes sense, right? A foreign country's fucking with our election to help one of our presidents.
Big problem.
So, boom, we investigate it. We should have investigated it. Did our FBI and Justice Department make mistakes during that investigation? I'm certain they did. Did our FBI and Justice Department, some of them, not want Trump to win? Sure, they did. But this thing's been looked at upside and down by Republican and Democratic sources, and the basic facts are clear. Russia did fuck with the election. I think the Mueller report, Michael, made clear. Mueller said there was collusion. He couldn't prove, he didn't have enough time, he said, to prove that it rose to the level of a conspiracy. But regardless, I think there's merit. And Trump tried to stop the investigation. End of story. But the $230 million, Michael, I think also involves, he's pissed off about what Jack Smith did. Right, when the Jack Smith investigation
We're talking about
began.
Mar-a-Lago and so on. Yeah.
But Mar-a-Lago, but also the election interference in 20, yes. I believe.
Sure.
Well, come on.
It deals with several. But going just back for a second, I won't disagree with you that Russia did things to interfere in the election. They clearly didn't want Hillary Clinton. The only other person there was Donald Trump. But that's not the legal question. The question that should have been put forth is whether or not Trump was involved in it. You know, if I do something that benefits you and you have no knowledge, you're not a co-conspirator.
Or the Trump campaign, not the Trump campaign. Were they involved? That's what was investigated.
Sure. And it was demonstrated that there was some weird shit. Well, not Junior. It was with
Junior wanted
Paul
that
Manafort.
Meeting, right?
Right. But with Paul Manafort than anything. But here's the thing. Manafort was there at the campaign for about 38 days in total. All right.
Caused a lot of trouble.
And he sure did. But again, if that's done outside of Trump's knowledge, he cannot be, there's no mens rea. He's not a co-conspirator.
Right, but Michael, what's he complaining about? I mean, it's like, didn't Donald Trump think that all of this shit should have been investigated?
You know what? That's a great question. That's a
Like,
great question.
You're the lawyer. Like, does he believe like the investigation itself did him great harm?
No, it's the attacks upon him. And at least you were fair enough to acknowledge that the FBI, the CIA, intelligence, DOJ at the time, they acted in ways that were harmful to Trump because they didn't want him, they didn't like him.
But do you think, Michael, do you think mostly with intent? I think mistakes were made.
No, I think it was intentional. I think Comey and Brennan and guys like Andrew Weissman and so on, it was all intentional. When they knew, for example, and I can only speak for myself, it was proven, proven, 11 allegations raised against me, and this is important, 11 allegations raised against me, not one of them had any merit to it. I've never been to Prague. I never had 10 million in cash. I never dealt with a compromat. I never went to Prague to pay 10 million for Paul Manafort. Dude, I wouldn't pay 3 cents for Paul Manafort. I didn't like him. I don't like him today, and I didn't like him back then. I'm not going anywhere, not for with 10 million in cash. How the fuck did I get there? By rowboat? I was at USC with my son who had a baseball tryout, and the FBI went to the baseball coach, and they said to the whole staff, "Did you see this guy? Yeah, he was here." What? How do you know? Because his son was doing a tryout. The whole thing. That's the point that Trump is jumping on. And you know what? That's the point that I can see. He believes that that was the impetus for everything else negative.
Okay, stop. I'm glad you said what you said because you've helped me understand. I completely disagree with his claim, but he's got a right to make that claim. Right. But the bigger issue, as you said a few minutes ago, he's fucking president now. So he can't. He's got to wait, right? If he wants to do this until he's no longer in office.
Well, that's what several people had said on television the other day and have written about, that the right thing for him to do would be to table this, put this to the side until he's out, because obviously, no matter what happens, they're going to make the claim that he used undue influence, or just his being president and these folks being his former defense
his cronies. They are his cronies in charge.
Yes. Yeah, that he has. So, the funny thing too is I think he knows that these cronies are going to settle this case with him. They're never going to let it go to trial. They're never going to probably even allow this case to be filed. They will work something out to pay him, which is so wrong. And he knows while he's president. All right. And that's why I believe, knowing him as I do, in order to deflect, because I've written about this in my Substacks many times, that he's like a great illusionist. He's a great magician, right? He claims he's going to give the money to charity, or he'll use it to pay for the ballroom or something like that. All right.
Yeah, Michael,
like that's supposed to make this whole thing better. So Joe, look, you and I, right? We both know that charity promise is worth less than monopoly money.
He doesn't have a good track record there, Michael.
Right. I mean, let's be real about it. When he says the charity, sure. He turned around and he said that it's not this ballroom, this $250 million ballroom is, not going to cost the American people money. It's going to be a great benefit, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fantastic. Taking the money from the taxpayer through this type of a claim, what legitimate or not. And I think the second part, the first part has legs. The second part, I don't think. Do I think it's worth $230 million? No, but whatever the amount is, he'll put it towards that, right? I mean, that's just what I believe that.
And you do believe, Michael Cohen, that as the sitting president, it's wrong for him to do this now and benefit
I think it's
now.
ill-advised. Yeah, Joe, I think it's completely ill-advised. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.